Hey, welcome back. So hopefully by now you had a chance to check out the graphics that I posted a little bit ago. If not, no big deal. I'm going to talk about it pretty well in this little session. And please feel free to go ahead and submit your comments or questions while I'm doing this video so I could maybe answer them on the spot. If not, I'll make sure to answer them when I come back and look through the comments. So, hormones, my goodness, they just rule our lives, right? And especially, I know for women my age, I'm 41, and a lot of us are kind of going through that perimenopausal, not sure where we're at with our hormones. And even I've noticed, unfortunately, in our world today, we're kind of bombarded with what are called exogenous hormones, meaning they're coming from outside of our body. And other than plant hormones, which are natural, and actually I'll talk more about this, but can be kind of processed better, we're getting these hormones through these endocrine disrupting hormones through things like BPA, plastics, different chemicals that we get through prescription drugs, you name it. So a lot of us are out of balance with our hormones, unfortunately. So when I talk about hormones, and look, this is like an hour-long class, so I'm trying to give you guys the Cliff Notes version, but when we talk about hormones, I always like to mention that we need to kind of look at this from a holistic perspective, meaning take a step back and recognize that maybe a lot of our hormone issues may be stemming from our lifestyle. So again, this is why I always recommend people, get that starter kit, use those everyday oils to supplement or to sub out ways that you're reaching for chemicals, because every time we're exposed to a chemical, it's kind of wreaking havoc on our body, those toxic chemicals. So just keep that in mind. But in terms of being very specific about targeted support, I just want to go over kind of the basics about the ways that Young Living has formulated certain things to work really well with our bodies. The number one selling product that Young Living makes is actually Progestins Plus, and with good reason, because it has changed the lives of so many women who just needed that extra bit of balance. So I want to jump right in and talk about the Progestins Plus. This is actually not exactly an essential oil, because we call it a serum because it contains essential oils. There's actually 7 different oils in here, which is why it smells so good. Cedarwood, copaiba, bergamot, frankincense. But the special thing that it has is micronized wild yam extract. And this is kind of the first time that anyone has ever taken this natural wild yam extract and turned it into a liquid form. So it's extremely absorbable in the body and has been shown to really help regulate the progesterone hormone balance. So I like to apply the Progestins Plus on my forearms and on the carotid artery. Those are places that it's going to absorb very quickly. And unlike other progesterone supplements, they recommend, other progesterone supplements recommend that you kind of move the area of your body where you're applying it, because it can become oversaturated. But with the Progestins Plus, you can actually apply it to the same areas, because it's so micronized that it can get throughout anywhere in your body. So you don't have to worry about putting it on the different places. You can put it the same place every time. But what's amazing about the Progestins Plus, progesterone increases this natural feeling of wellness. It helps us sleep. It's calming. It actually helps thyroid hormones absorb better in our body. And of course, it increases progesterone, which is the big thing, right? Because progesterone is kind of like the policeman of estrogen. So if you have estrogen dominance, or let's say maybe, someone my age, maybe 1 month we don't actually release an egg. If you're not releasing an egg, then your body's not creating the progesterone. So we might find ourselves in estrogen dominance because we haven't created any of the progesterone since we didn't release that egg. So by supplementing with the progesterone, we're just making sure that everything's in balance, and the estrogen levels will always kind of be maintained that way. I have had so much success using this, and a lot of women use it all month long. I find that my levels are pretty good until I ovulate, and then it kind of starts dropping. So I like to use the Progestins Plus from day 14 through 28 of my cycle. And the results are amazing. The difference in the way I feel, the difference in physically, like my cramping, mood swings, that sort of thing, are all like super mitigated by the Progestins Plus. So this is kind of the jumping off point for anyone who's looking to supplement their hormones. This is what I would recommend. Because, and I don't want you guys to laugh, but I was trying to create a document to show you, and I had to write it backwards. So it looks like a 5-year-old wrote this, but I just want to give you guys a general overview of how hormones work. So the grandfather of all hormones is actually cholesterol, which is funny, right? Because we've all been told like how bad cholesterol is, and it's actually, we need it. It is literally the grandfather of all of our sex steroids. So cholesterol turns into pregnenolone, which would be like the father or the mother of all of our sex hormones. Pregnenolone then breaks down into DHEA, and it also breaks down into progesterone. From progesterone, we get the androstenedione, which breaks down into estradiol, okay? And DHEA also breaks down into estradiol. So progesterone is also a precursor for estrogen. So a lot of people find that maybe they're not quite sure what their hormone levels are, and I think with progesterone it actually works great because you may end up, your body might actually synthesize that farther down into estrogen, or maybe you just really need that progesterone, and either way you're going to be set with this. Women who are postmenopausal have found great results using this in terms of just allowing their body to kind of still naturally feel the energy and the support that sex steroids give them, energy and whatnot. So I highly recommend this for any of you who just aren't quite sure where you're at with your hormone levels. Like I said, I mean, if you just Google Progestins Plus results or testimonials, you'll see how many women have just been so supported by this particular supplement. So moving on, I just want to say with estrogen, it's interesting because a lot of people have been told, and kind of, I mean, I've heard it too, estrogen's bad. Don't have estrogen. Estrogen causes cancer. Estrogen does all these awful things. But I just want to point out, when you were 25, did you have cancer? Did you feel fat? Were you, I don't know, all of the awful things that come with this, too much estrogen. When we were 25, our estrogen levels were through the roof. We were fertile, we were perky, our skin was supple, we had a libido, we had all of this energy. These are all good things, right? These are not bad things. So by giving ourselves a very gentle, natural support of phytoestrogens, we're kind of allowing our body to experience maybe what our estrogen levels felt like when we were young. I'm not going to say this is the fountain of youth by any means, but it's definitely a good thing to consider using something that's, like I said, natural and gentle to support those hormones. So I just want to talk to you guys about clary sage. Clary sage is incredible, and it has been used for centuries for female hormone support. You can, again, Google. Our best friend. Clary sage is known for helping with PMS, with just overall general feeling of wellness. And the reason is there's this little chemical compound in clary sage called sclereol. And sclereol is a phytoestrogen. So when we bring that into our bodies, let's say we're estrogen deficient, those receptors that are kind of like, and you feel low energy. Again, this for me happens when the hormones plummet. That's going to be maybe day 20 of my cycle when I start really feeling kind of like I need more estrogen. The clary sage is amazing because that sclereol will come into our bodies and actually attach to those estrogen receptors and then start feeding our body with a natural plant-based substitute for the estrogen that maybe our bodies aren't creating. Again, being in my 40s, our bodies kind of stop making those sex hormones quite as much. So we notice things that are uncomfortable. And with clary sage, within minutes, we can start kind of feeling better. So I love to just use clary sage on my VitaFlex points, which I don't have my chart, but for men and women, the reproductive area of the I'm gonna show you my ankle. the inside and outside of our ankles. I am going to show you my ankle. Let's see, I got cool slippers on. Here and here are where you would put clary sage or any kind of hormone supplement if you wanted to kind of have that go right into the area to support those areas. You can also apply them directly onto your uterus, and you can also take clary sage internally. I'm going to talk to you really soon about a supplement that you can use internally. So Young Living makes, gosh, 4 different products that have clary sage in them. So again, clary sage would be just kind of like accessing the scleral isolated. You can also kind of branch out and discover what Young Living blend of oils that contain the clary sage works best for you. So Sclerescence is the one I was just talking about. That has the clary sage in it, and it's also an internal supplement. So this is a great supplement for women that are reproductive age, 20 to 30 really. And these apply, there's no strict hard and fast guidelines about which of these you can use depending on how old you are, but Sclerescence is a really, really great supplement for women who are still in reproductive mode, or especially if you're trying to reproduce. Oh, let me tell you guys, that's the other thing about Progestins Plus or progesterone. The role that progesterone plays is that it actually maintains the uterine lining. So if you're trying to get pregnant, wouldn't it be great to have a little bit extra support knowing that progesterone keeps our uterine lining from shedding? So when we are about to start our period, the reason that we literally start our period is because we drop out of, progesterone drops out of our body, and that signals our body to shed the uterine lining. So if we're trying to get pregnant and we don't want to shed that uterine lining, it's great to have that support, that extra progesterone that says, no, hold that stuff in there, right? And then we have extra estrogen, which is our reproductive hormone, going, yeah, let's have babies. So I'm not saying you're going to get pregnant if you use these things, because I'm not planning to have kids, but I use them because I want to feel good. So Progestins Plus mixed with some Sclerescence is kind of like a magical formula for women that are trying to conceive. And again, this is also going to be if you just feel like you need that extra support. Sclerescence is wonderful. I personally find women, and I've read recently that women who are 35 plus, especially if you're not trying too hard to put a bun in that oven, the Lady Scleral is my new best friend, because it has, again, that word scleral, right? It's right in the title. This has the clary sage, but it also has these beautiful, fragrant, lovely oils like jasmine and ylang ylang and rose. So does it have rose? I might be lying. This one does not. Joy does. We're going to talk about Joy tomorrow. This is a lovely blend. So I like to wear it just as a perfume, but then also, of course, supplementing on those ankle points, or even just in the diffuser to smell it. But Lady Scleral is, I highly recommend this one for women like my age range. And then there's another one called Dragon Time. So this is a blend that I choose to use during my red week, right? So after I have kind of helped my body by adding clary sage when I started feeling a little PMSy, and then it comes down to the day that I actually start my period, the Dragon Time just takes those cramps away. It is such a lovely blend. It has a couple oils that also help with inflammation, and even some that help with mood. So it just it's like the perfect one to reach for when you're feeling not great on the day you start. But I have to say, this Progestins Plus, when you're really, being regular with this, I've noticed that it mitigates that day so much. I mean, it's like night and day. On a month that I haven't taken the Progestins Plus, I'm feeling it. And on the month that I have been really regularly using it, I barely have any symptoms. But if I do, I'll take the clary or the Dragon Time to kind of help with those day of or week of issues that come up. Now, in terms of overall support, I just want to back up and point out the fact that these sex hormones are created by our endocrine system. Our endocrine system is like the powerhouse of all hormones, not just the sex hormones, but all of them. It governs the adrenals and the pituitary gland and the thyroid gland. So if you're just looking for overall support, which I recommend for everyone, especially like I said, we're being bombarded with these exogenous estrogens and endocrine disrupting chemicals and toxins in our daily life. There's no reason to not support that endocrine system, regardless of where you are, premenopausal, postmenopausal, even teenagers, anyone really. There's a great blend called Endoflex. And this is going to just give your overall endocrine system support. So this is what I use to help with my thyroid. I have a bit of a thyroid issue, and I like to use this pretty much daily when I can remember, or when I'm in town and I have some. It runs out quickly. I need to get the 15 mil. But the Endoflex is a great one to just add to your daily shot of Ningxia Red, or if you just want to put it in some juice or a capsule even, you can put it in a veggie cap. I also make a roller bottle blend so that I roll right onto my thyroid, and that's going to have Endoflex with cinnamon, spearmint, clove, lemongrass. There's a bunch of specifically thyroid supporting oils, but the Endoflex is a really good choice if you're just looking for that overall endocrine support. So I guess I'm just going to throw this up there one more time because it's hilarious, and if you guys didn't tune in time to see it, this is the chart, the flow chart of how our hormones work. Again, cholesterol being like the grandfather. Where are you? Oh, it's upside down. Cholesterol being the grandfather that kind of helps us synthesize hormones. It goes into pregnenolone, which also goes into DHEA. And from there, you're going to get the progesterone, your testosterone, and eventually create estradiol. So one thing that I have not mentioned yet, it's not an oil, but there's a couple other ways that I really think are amazing for helping hormone support, and that would be the Prenolone cream, Prenolone Plus. Sorry. I get kind of confused about all the names. Yeah, Prenolone Plus. So I put graphics in the class for all of these. You can just kind of go through and read and kind of feel which one feels right for you. But the Prenolone Plus is going to give you that pregnenolone and a bit of the DHEA. There's also a supplement called PD8020. And PD8020, literally, P stands for pregnenolone, meaning 80% of it is pregnenolone, and the D is DHEA, and there's 20% of that, so PD8020. So by getting those supplements, what you're doing essentially is saying to your body, I'm going to give you the building blocks, and you decide what to synthesize out of it. So if you're just kind of not sure where you're at with these levels, it's a great idea to kind of pull back and start treating the parents of those hormones and just allow your body to kind of create them. So I have yet to do that. I've been still kind of just working from the ground up, building my estrogen through the clary sage, building my progesterone with the Progestins Plus. But I've spoken to so many women that just feel like they really, really need a lot more hormone support than that. So the Prenolone Plus and the PD8020 are a great place to start with those. So Patrika says PD8020 is on my next order. Yeah, Patrika, please let me know what you think, because I feel like that's the game changer for especially women our age. You might as well let your body, our bodies are built for perfect. That's the thing that Dr. Jim Bob always says. And I think if we just give them the support that they need and let them kind of do what they're meant to do, they'll figure it out. Well, I have a medical degree at the... I have to get one first, Carrie. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I am not a medical doctor, by the way, you guys. This is all stuff that I've just tried to kind of teach myself. So I did include a much less second grade level version of this graph with the graphics that I posted earlier of all the different hormone support. So have a look at that and really kind of, it makes you understand, like, okay, you can treat very specifically these areas, or you can back out and just kind of treat those. And same thing with the Endoflex. There's also a supplement called Endogize, which is just kind of saying, like, I'm just going to support this system and let it trickle down and see how my body responds and what my body synthesizes. Yes, our bodies are made for perfect. Exactly. We just need to support it. Our bodies know what to do. And that's the great thing about using these essential oils. They're adaptogenic. They know what to do too. We get them into our body and they figure it out. So yes, our bodies are made for perfect. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, we were created from something, and that something sure knows what they're doing. So Anyway, thank you for checking in. I was planning on going longer, but I just kind of plowed through that information. So if anyone else has questions, otherwise, I'm going to just stop right there for the female hormones, and then tomorrow I'll come in and talk more about hormone support for men, and we'll start moving into the aphrodisiac oils that kind of help our brain calm down and get into the place of wanting to be, sharing intimacy with someone. But ultimately, the reason that I start this class with talking about hormones is because if your hormones are out of balance, you don't really want anyone around. You're grumpy, you don't want to be touched, you feel fat, you feel ugly, all these things that the hormones are actually creating in our minds. So if we can get our hormones established, get them in a place of balance, then we're going to feel a lot better and be ready to move on to the next phase of this love and libido idea. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching, and anyone who shows up late, feel free to post some questions. I love doing research, so if you ask me something that I don't know, I'll research it and we'll learn together. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow with more fun facts. Have a good night. Bye.